Hey, today I'm talking about 3 whimsical French love stories. And the names of those 3 films are The Science of Sleep, Love Me If You Dare, and A Mermaid in Paris. First up is The Science of Sleep. This is a 2006 film starring Gael Garcia Bernard, who I know from Y Tu Mama Tambien, and also Charlotte Gainsborough, who I know from Nymphomaniac. And the basic premise is this young man who is half Mexican, half French, really wants to have like an artsy job because he's very imaginative, like he loves sleep because it's just the imagination gone wild, and he kind of has a blurry line between reality and sleep at all points in time. But his mom finds him a job that she claims is really whimsical, but it's actually just a really boring desk job at a calendar company. So he's really frustrated by that, but he moves into her apartment in France and he gets really frustrated with everything. But then turns out he has a neighbor who has a cute friend that he's into, but then turns out that the neighbor is actually the only person he's met so far in his life that understands him. So maybe there's a little chemistry, even though he wasn't initially attracted to her. And it's really cute. It's really fun. I love the whimsy of it. I love how they do all the special effects. It's like stop motion animation type of stuff. It's really fun and imaginative, and I love the whimsy of it all. There's a few characters that I didn't really care for, in particular the ones at the calendar place. They're just a little kind of sexual assaulty. But really, this movie was kind of on the line for me between really liked and quite liked. I think had I watched it when it came out, I would have loved it, rightfully so. This film is very 2006 in all the best ways. But what kind of kept it from landing in the really liked category for me was honestly the last scene. It just was such a weird vibe that just put a bad taste in my mouth. It's kind of like the people who watch 500 Days of Summer and get the wrong message from that. That sort of a thing. I do think it still ended in the right place, but it spent too much time being strange, being the wrong kind of strange, that it just like, it hurt it. I still enjoyed this movie a lot and would still recommend it, even with like the weirdness of the last scene, because I think there's a lot to love and enjoy about this movie. It's just kind of prepare yourself for not the strongest landing, which is fine. If most of the film is great, it's still a good solid movie. So yeah, quite enjoyed and would recommend. Next up is Love Me If You Dare. This is a 2003 film featuring Marion Cotillard. I never know if I'm pronouncing that right. And the basic premise is, it starts off with these 2, let's just say 10-year-olds, a boy and a girl, and they're both kind of sad, but then they decide that they have this tin can, and who's ever holding the tin can gets to make the other person do whatever they say as a dare. And wouldn't you know it, children make each other do terrible things, like just truly awful things. Like, yeah, no, they're not murdering anyone or stabbing someone, but it's still just the most obnoxious things. So that's like half the movie, and then the half is them as adults still dealing with this constant dare system that they have. But it's very clear even to them that everyone in their lives hate that they do these stupid dare things all the time. Like, it's legitimately a detriment to everyone they come across. And that's so hard to watch, because it's just like, it's terrible people doing terrible things. What's fun about that? Well, I did still like this movie. I liked the actor that I previously stated, and I do think that the 2 leads do have chemistry, and I do enjoy their vibe together when they're not being awful people. And I do think it's an interesting idea. It's just both the characters and the writers just took it too far. They really needed to take it down a couple notches to make it more watchable. And I don't understand what happened in the end, because they're kind of give us 2 endings. I mean, this is a whimsical movie. So one or both of them are true, but you can't have both be true. But they probably both are true? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's interesting. I don't recommend this movie because they're just so terrible. I still liked it, but man, no, don't watch this. And lastly is A Mermaid in Paris. This is a 2020 film that I have been meaning to watch for a while because the mermaid is played by Marilyn Lima, a French model that I like for reasons. She seems really nice. I mean, she does seem really nice. That isn't a joke. She does seem nice. So the basic premise is this guy owns his family restaurant, which is a boat on the river, but it's also like a speakeasy type of thing. Then they're struggling financially, but then one day he stumbles across a mermaid and gets kind of creepy, stalkery obsessed with her. Now, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of good, fun ideas within this movie, but there isn't a lot of substance to this movie. Like a really good example is the mermaid herself really isn't explored as an idea. Like, the guy doesn't ask her any questions until most of the way through the movie. Like, where does she come from? Does she have family? Is she murdering people? Why is she murdering people? Like, she claims that her songs make men fall in love with her and then their hearts explode. How does she know that that's what's happening? Really, just they needed to expand upon the mermaid more. Like, it doesn't even have to be explaining her backstory. Just give her more character. Give her more agency. Like, yeah, she needs to get back into the water, and she constantly asks for that, and the guy very creepily always says no. But just give her more to do, more to be, than just a beautiful woman sitting for 90 minutes. I am dunking on this movie a ton, but I still liked it. It was fine. And in general, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you really like mermaids, I would totally recommend this movie. I don't think it's going to be like a life-changing movie, but I think you're going to enjoy all of the mermaid iconography. I think that's going to be fun. I think you'll like all of the whimsy that's in here, because the whimsy is good. And I think if you enjoy mermaids more so than the average person, it'll kind of fill in the gaps of the lack of regular substance. So yeah, if you like mermaids, go for it. If you don't, don't. Alrighty, now today's rankings. First up, we got The Science of Sleep sitting at number 66 in the quite-like section. And then after that is Love Me If You Dare, sitting at number 126 in the liked section. And then bringing up the rear right behind that is A Mermaid in Paris, sitting at number 127, also in the liked section. I kind of debated which two, because they're like really on the same level, but I'm fine with where I put them. And this is a total of 171 old movies so far this year.